Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for watching another episode of Sonar Fishing. Today we're going to be talking about my spinning gear setup, and more specifically, we are going to touch up on the main line that I like to use for my spinning gear, but primarily we're going to talk about leader material for spinning gear. I'm going to show you the line that I like to use as my leader material, and tell you exactly why. First off, let's talk about like my history with spinning gear. The spinning gear was definitely I guess it would be the second type of fishing rod and reel setup that I used, because my first was like a Donald Duck pole. I'm pretty sure it was Donald Duck. I caught a 4-foot nurse shark on that rod, that Donald Duck rod. It's legit. In fact, oh my gosh, somebody just sent me this the other day. Check this out. I was not planning on bringing these out. So somebody just sent me the set. You got a smaller, more finesse Snoopy rod and reel setup, and then you've got the more heavy duty. It's got a much heavier backbone, and yeah, I need to take this out of the bubble wrap. This is awesome. So yeah, I just got sent this the other day, and it's just so cool. But this is essentially the first rod and reel that I use, just like most young anglers. And I caught a 4-foot nurse shark on this sucker down in the Florida Keys where we're living. But anyways, so that's what I started out fishing. But then I, shortly after that, graduated to spinning gear. So spinning gear like this is what I really started to cut my teeth on when I was first starting bass fishing. And I was primarily spooling up with a full spool of monofilament back then. And then shortly after, when I started getting really serious about bass fishing, and I discovered fluorocarbon, which again was Seagar, they were the first ones to introduce, a mainline fluorocarbon material. With both of those materials, they are very good. Both of them are, especially fluorocarbon as a main line, because of the invisibility factor, the abrasion resistance, and the sensitivity. And the problem with both monofilament and fluorocarbon as your main line on spinning gear, as you guys know, is the fact that you do get a lot of twists. Now, there are great ways to battle these twists as you're spooling it up, and which will greatly reduce those twists, but you're never gonna get rid of them 100%. And so it was probably about, 10 or 12 years ago that the majority of anglers started graduating from a main line of fluorocarbon on their spinning rods to a main line of braid. So this right here is Smackdown, Seagar Smackdown 20-pound test flash green braid. And that's what I use as my main line. So I spool up all my reels with this braided line, main line, which the reason why people started going to braid as their main line is it really has 3 primary qualities that make it really well suited for this. So the first one is the size to pound test ratio. Braided line is extremely small diameter per pound test. So if you compare it to monofilament, you could get, or monofilament or fluorocarbon, you can get, I think this 20-pound braid on my spool right now is about the same diameter as 6 or 8-pound test fluorocarbon. Something around those lines, but you get the point. So it's really thin. That means that in high current situations, it's less drag. It allows you to fish your baits better. It allows you to cast them better. And then braid also has low stretch. Low stretch is super important for sensitivity. In fact, just as a side story, I work in Alaska every year as a guide up there. We fish for halibut, salmon. And when we're fishing deep water for halibut, we're using 65-pound braid, and in 300 foot of water, you can feel every little bump that you get from a little rockfish or something, or every time you hit the bottom, you feel it you know, you can tell if it's hard bottom, you can tell if it's soft bottom, you can tell if you just hit a shell, you know, it's that sensitive. And I can even tell if there's bait on the line. That's how sensitive it is. And we also fish even deeper, way deeper. For like black cod, we fish 2,100 foot of water, and you can feel the fish bite all the way down there. You couldn't do that with fluorocarbon or monofilament because of the stretch way deep like that, and get the same type of sensitivity. So braid is really good for the sensitivity with your spinning gear. And then finally, it has very low memory. That's probably the most important factor when it comes to fishing with spinning gear, is the fact that it doesn't remember that it's supposed to have a certain, you know, the shape of the spool when it comes off the spool. That's the problem with, you know, monofilament and fluorocarbons, is that memory, that fact that as your line sits on the spool for longer and longer, it gets imprinted with that overall shape, and it wants to maintain that shape when it comes off the spool. Braid does not want to do that. It's very, you know, it just comes off, you know, just all relaxed and ready to go. So braid is just really good for a main line with spinning gear. But the problem with braid is that it is very visible to fish, and that is a debate for another day. I've done videos where people, you know, were angry that I was actually talking about the color of braid because fish aren't scared of line. I can tell you for a fact that there are fish that aren't scared of line. You could be using steel braid for you know, Pete's sake, and they'd still eat your presentation. But there are also some fish that are extremely cautious about, you know, fishing line. And if they see it, they're not going to you know, eat your bait. And I know that for a fact, because, you know, as fish get pressured, they start, you know, getting line shy, and that's one of the keys for them to, you know, avoid something, avoid a presentation. So to maximize your success with, you know, finesse presentations or whatever you're using with spinning gear, it's really good to use a fluorocarbon leader. So 100% of the time, my leader material for my spinning gear is always going to be fluorocarbon. And over the years, you know, there's a lot of, I'm gonna suggest what I like to use, but in reality, you can use all the different types of fluorocarbon out there as your leader material, but I'm going to show you what I like to use because I think that it maximizes my success. Again, it's a situation of, can you catch fish with other types of fluorocarbon as a leader material? Absolutely. But do you want to get 1 or 2 extra bites in those very tough, clear water situations? Of course you do. So this right here is Seaguar Gold Label. Okay. And this line right here is specifically designed to be a leader material. It's not, you know, it comes in 25 and 50 yard spools, and it's not made to be spooled on your spinning reel. It'd be pretty expensive if you, you know, spooled your spinning reel with Gold Label, because it is a little bit pricey, but it's not that bad when you consider that it's just for leader material. But the good thing, the thing that really separates Gold Label from other fluorocarbons is, just like braid, not exactly like braid, but very similar to braid, you can upsize your pound test while downsizing your diameter with Gold Label. It's the thinnest fluorocarbon leader material that I've found out there on the market. And so, for instance, you know, if I'm using 8-pound test in another type of fluorocarbon line, most types of fluorocarbon, I can actually go to 10-pound test with Gold Label and still have about the same diameter, if not a smaller diameter in some cases, depending on the fluorocarbon. So sometimes I like to use a Gold Label to be able to upsize my line, and sometimes I just like to use Gold Label to stick with the same pound test and achieve a smaller diameter that's more invisible to the fish. And so generally, you know, as far as leader length, that's a discussion based on the technique and the situation. But usually, you know, for finesse techniques, I'm going to be using a longer leader. So I'm going to be taking probably about you know, 5 arm lengths, so about 25, 30 feet, and tying a uni to knot or uni to uni knot on my my braid. And that is kind of my leader size of choice for finesse presentations. Anytime, you know, I'm using a bait that's kind of staying in the strike zone for a long period of time, I don't want the fish to be able to see the knot and the braid in clear water. But if I'm fishing like a swim bait or a small chatterbait or whatever I'm fishing on the spinning rod that is more of a moving bait, a reaction bait, I might, you know, use as short as a, you know, 6-foot leader, you know, with that. A lot of times I'll do that with like a little swim bait. I'll use a shorter leader. But anyways, guys, as far as leader material, the Gold Label is definitely worth a try. Again, it's all about maximizing your success on the water. It's not that this is the only one that's going to catch fish. That this is the one that I believe is going to catch, you know, get you those extra bites throughout a day. Which, you know, if you're a tournament angler, that means a lot. But anyways, guys, those are just some of my thoughts on my spinning gear setup. I think that this combination that my spinning gear has evolved to over the years is really the best combination. Having a braided main line and a fluorocarbon leader of Gold Label has really, I think kind of checked all the boxes over the years. I think one thing I am going to change is I'm going to actually downsize to maybe 10 or 15 pound test smackdown this year and see how I like that. I've liked the 20 pound test a smackdown over the years, but I think I want to try downsizing that a little bit. So I might adjust that, and I'll let you guys know, how that ends up. But overall, great setup for spinning gear if you're having problems with twists, the braid, and if you want to maximize your success with your leader material, definitely check out Gold Label. And if you do want to buy either the Smackdown braid or Gold Label and give it a shot, you can use the link that I have in the description below on 44tackle.com. You get 10% off of your order, and it also kicks back to me a little bit, to support the channel. So I would really appreciate it if you use that link to purchase either Gold Label or the Smackdown. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on this topic, and also send me some questions that you want me to cover in another video. I really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll see you out on the water. Take care.